Fish at 6. And as I promised, like live, here's my list. And by the way, we won't try to con artist anybody as we do it from the fishbowl. This is the fishbowl. That's the star. There's the QR code to get into the fish store, Uncle Fish Store. There's the Emmy that proves that we are an Emmy award-winning program. This is not a list that the Cowboys handed me. This is not, hey, Fish, it's Will McClay. I've got 5 ideas. It's just me. But it is presented to you through a Cowboys filter, if you will, a Cowboys prism, based on some of the things that we do know that they're interested in, that fit, whatnot, and who's it. So your comments, your questions, and your criticisms are always welcome, and I will read those over the course of the night. Believe me, I will. I'm scratching my eye because I know that my eye is going to get tired reading all of your fantastic comments. 62,000 fish heads in Cowboy Nation. And away we go. Cowboys enter the next season. It's not even the off season. Once we get to March, whatever it is, 7th, the beginning of business year, that's the new season, and away we go. And you got issues, you got player contracts, you got trades, you got the draft. How are we going to assemble a roster? We've already talked about the salary cap issues. The Cowboys can, if they want to, get $50 million under the cap. So don't worry about being $7 million over now. Will they do it the way that we've described? How will they do it? All those things. How much will they do it? All those are up for debate. Also, a great debate point, because Jerry Jones introduced it as a debate point, is, well, Mr. Man, the Eagles emptied the bucket. Forget about the part about paying the piper. That's not coming around anytime soon for the Eagles. But emptying the bucket, he's right. And of course, Jerry helped invent emptying the bucket. So what if he shifts back? What if they shift back? Just a little bit. I've talked about doing it in the form of making 4 additions, which is what the Eagles did. Added a wide receiver in trade, star wide receiver, starting cornerback, starting defensive back, starting pass rusher. 4 monster moves that helped them become the best team in the NFC. And now the Cowboys need to give chase. And listen, I do support what the Cowboys do in terms of we like to sign our own. I do. As I said this to Bree Amaranthus in a video that you'll get a chance to watch here. The devil that you know. I get it. But if what you're going to do this offseason, Cowboys, is bring back Van Der Esch, Wilson, and Pollard, and McGovern, let's just say. If that's your 4, well, that doesn't make you better. That makes you the same. I want to get better. So I'm going to give you 5 names. Again, these are my 5 names. But through a Cowboy prism that gets you there. I remind you again to the skeptic and the cynic and the hater. We're seeing this a bunch on the Dallas Mavericks, by the way. The idea of Anthony Davis being shipped away this offseason by the Lakers and landing in Dallas, oh, that could never happen. I thought Kyrie could never happen either. How did Luka ever happen? How do any intriguing, good, potentially great things ever happen? There's all kinds of revisionist history after it happens. So, of course, it's possible. Of course, all these things are possible. I've been around long enough to have thought, you're going to do Charles Haley? And you think it's going to work? You're going to draft Steve Walsh and have 2 rookie quarterbacks and think it's going to end up paying off? You're going to trade Herschel Walker, your best player, for what at the time, of course, it took the world a minute to understand. No, it was Jesse Solomon or the pick that you'll get a pick from Minnesota. If you end up cutting Jesse Solomon, and Mike Lynn, the general manager of the Vikings at the time, said, well, I mean, why would a bad team ever cut Jesse Solomon, Darren Nelson. Well, the Cowboys had a plan that nobody else saw. That was extremely go for it. So how about a little go for it now with Wildcat and Jerry? One more reminder to the cynics and the skeptics and the naysayers. Last spring, the Cowboys went after Von Miller. They did. This is way underplayed. They offered him $14 million a year. I think he's 33. That's the right number. A $14 million offer. They gave him the Randy Gregory offer. And he was intrigued until the Bills called and said, we'll give you 20. So, the Cowboys would never, but they almost did. They tried on Von Miller, and they had their ceiling. Why not try again? 4 times. With these 5 names and obviously more, but we're going to start with these 5 names. Name number 1, Devin Singletary. I've seen people talk about Montgomery in Chicago. The problem is he runs in the mud. If this offense is going to do things that would be based on what Tony Pollard can do, that's Devin Singletary. Right? It's also, by the way, McKinnon in Kansas City. Why do you want a plotter? Plodder. No, I want somebody that's got some dynamic skills. Devin Singletary, the spot track projection of him is $5 million APY. You want to spend $5 million on Singletary or $10 million on Pollard? I don't even think that's a beard scratcher. I don't. $10 million guaranteed for Pollard for 1 year on the tag. You want to build a long-term contract with him? He's going to say, give me 5 years and 10, 12, 60 million. Or I could do Devin Singletary for 2 years, 10 million. I'm in. Guy number 2, Patrick Peterson. This comes up this comes up a lot. It comes up because he does a podcast show and he talks about it. Talks about wanting to come to the Cowboys. He's done it the last couple of years. He'll do it again this year. He's free again. 12-year veteran. Not obviously what he once was. When he was at Arizona, he was what Jalen Ramsey is now. By the way, what if Jalen Ramsey gets cut? But that's a show for another day. Because there's some buzz with the Rams that if they can't trade him to get out from under his money, they'll cut him. But for the sake of this argument, Patrick Peterson, what's his projection? Oh, fish, he's going to cost $1 million. Spot track projection, $6 million a year for a guy who would like to be here. By the way, I don't marry the spot track projections. They've got T.Y. Hilton down that he's going to get, as I recall, $12 million. That just can't be right. Based on the fact that he had a good half a month in Dallas, had a solid half a month in Dallas, he's going to go from being a $2 million guy on the couch to being a $12 million guy. I'm not buying that. And so, again, I'm not marrying myself to these financial projections, but it's a starting point. Patrick Peterson, $6 million to come to Dallas. That is a playmaking, tackling cornerback. I'm in. I'm in on both of those. And I've saved money. Because I didn't spend $10 million on Tony Pollard, and I'm picking and poking around what I'm going to do at cornerback, and I'm getting a future Hall of Fame cornerback who I'm thinking Patrick Peterson must be 32, I know. He's in his 30s. It's 1 year. 1 year while we keep developing the kids. Guy number 3. This one, and all these guys qualify as name players. Again, on another day, we could do more name players. On another day, we could do the more likely ideas, which are more under the radar guys, which is what the Cowboys do. I want them to do more. You want them to do more. But under radar is their tendency. Sign your own and then under radar. And reclamation projects later. By the way, that worked. Jason Peters worked. Anthony Barr worked. T.Y. Hilton worked. So Brett Maher worked for quite a while. So those are perfectly sound ideas. We're trying to shoot a little bigger here. So let's go to Payne, the defensive tackle in Washington. What Tank Lawrence is as an end, Payne is as a tackle. That is to say, he'll stop the run, he penetrates, he gets tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and he rushes the passer. I think he had 11 sacks. This is a big, wide-bodied guy with 11 sacks. First-round pick out of Alabama, and Washington is wrestling with, what are we going to do with all these first-round picks? They have 4 of them in the defensive line, and their contracts are all coming due as time goes on. In fact, pretty soon, they're going to make a Chase Young decision, and the decision might not even to be to pick up his 5th-year option. That was the second player taken in his draft. Yes, the Cowboys have made mistakes in personnel. All teams do. I bet you Washington would like to have that draft over again, because Justin Herbert could have been in the conversation at the time instead of Chase Young, who's a brilliant player who just hasn't, injury-wise, been able to get it done. So, Payne. This is a bite the bullet. This is the one that's bite the bullet. Singletary, affordable, $5 million. Peterson, affordable, $6 million. Payne, now we're talking about like $19 million. In fact, the tag for him, if they decide to do it in Washington, I think is $18 million. But this is a do-it-all star. We've seen some other names pop up, guys that like had good years in contract years, who'd never done anything before. Daron Payne is a legitimate premium first-round pick, Alabama. I don't think his stardom is tied to his wanting to get paid. I just think he's a star, and he's on my list. Guy number 4. Let's stay in Washington. Trey Turner. Somehow he's 29 and he's been in the league 9 years, and somehow he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler. I think he's a 5-time Pro Bowler who's kind of now fallen off. He was a Pro Bowler early in his career. LSU product. The Cowboys know LSU guys very well. 9-year vet, 29 years old, has been lately signing a series of 1-year contracts, which suggests he ain't exactly Zach Martin anymore. Zach Martin makes the Pro Bowl a million times too, still playing at a high level. This is a little different than that. Projected salary for Trey Turner, $2.5 million. Guys, again, you're looking for stopgap help at guard. If Connor McGovern wants more than $2.6 million, because you might as well just keep the guy you got. That's their belief. That's their policy. Nothing wrong with it. But if Connor McGovern says, I want 2.7, I'm going to Trey Turner and say, I'll give you 2.6. Guy number 5. This is the one that I think will excite you a little bit. Now, there's a skillion ideas out there regarding Cowboys and wide receiver. And they're all worth kicking around. Brandon Cooks trade. The Cowboys were once willing to give up a 2. What if it only takes a 4 for Houston? DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona. What if you don't have to give a first-round pick because you can get out from under him? Keenan Allen. What if they have to cut him? And it's because of his injury. Productive, obviously, over his career. Injuries. What if that's a rejuvenation project? Juju, Schuster, Smith, Schuster. Probably already did the rejuvenation thing. Is a more of a possession guy, and he's a little bit of a TikTok clown. Odell Beckham Jr. Clown in the air. Fried. I just thought of this. I'm a professional sports writer. Not fly the friendly skies. Odell Beckham Jr. seemed to be fried in the friendly skies. Thank you. I'm a professional sports writer. Free agents will dot the landscape. Wide receiver trade, free agent, draft, all in play, all valid. But guy number 5 is DJ Chark. By the way, how many Charks are there? You ever known a Chark? I wish my name was DJ Chark. It's not even a real name. I just made up. Might be a stage name. Projected to make $9 million. Too much? Well, it's 1/3 of what DeAndre Hopkins makes, half what Brandon Cooks makes. He is a splash play guy. Second round of the 2018 draft, injury issues, made a Pro Bowl, and still runs the 40. Our understanding is in the 4.3 range. DJ Chark, again, this isn't Hopkins, but it's above James Washington. You got big decisions coming. What are you going to do with Tyron? What are you going to do with Zeke? I've addressed the prioritizing of in the last couple of days. I'm going to do it like this. I think the Cowboys think this. Pollard, what are we going to do? Terrence Steele, restricted. Let's do that. Leighton Vander Esch, can we do it? Donovan Wilson, we should be able to do it. Connor McGovern, is somebody going to go pay him? Dalton Schultz, somebody's going to go pay him. And then you're also eyeing, what are we going to do with CeeDee Lamb and Trayvon Diggs, now extension eligible? But you can do, as I say every year, you can do whatever you want to do, virtually. This doesn't have to be about just wide receiver, and it doesn't just have to be one guy. You can do multiples of these things. Free agency is a place to fill holes. Going for it can pay off. Jerry knows it as well as anybody. The Eagles now know it. Cowboys used to know it. And whether it's about name players, like we just rattled off 5 of them, my list, or lesser lights, maybe it's time to show at the Star that Jerry and the Cowboys still know how to do it. Thanks for being a part of what we do here in the Fishbowl, the Fish Report, and CowboysSI.com. 62,000 strong fish heads in Cowboy Nation. I appreciate you. Fish out.